Alright, y'all, man. I know I'm making another video and I'm looking a little ratchet right now, but I just got to load. We're going to be, oh, shoot. Let me turn that off before I have my personal conveyance on for 10 minutes for sitting here. And she would be blowing me up. The lady who handles our personal, she plays no games. She like, if you got on your PC, James, I'm going to route you to the yard. I was like, oh, nah. Like, you ain't have to call me no more, I promise. And she called me a few months later. She's like, dang, James, I haven't talked to you in a while. I was like, yeah. But anyway, yeah, so I always, like, see people, and, homeless people and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Now, bruh, I've went through it, bro. I'm talking about homeless. Now, when you get it on your own, you can kind of understand like where people come from, especially as a grown man, a young and just a man, period. Let's just say a man, period, right? In America, bruh, like, bro, you really gotta, bro, after you 18, once you a grown man, people might help you out a little bit here and there, but bro, you gotta really realize, bro, you are a grown man, bro. And the cold thing about it is you better stand up and handle your business, whatever you gotta do to make sure, hopefully you do it the right way, and to make sure that you have what you need to survive in this world. Excuse me, like for me, for example, I had a few people come through for me to help me to get in the situation that I'm in right now, right? And let me explain to you, because you might not really understand what I'm saying. I was homeless. The first time I was ever homeless, I chose to be homeless, right? I was staying with some friends, and I wanted to live in California for some reason. I thought I could go to California as a young person with no experience in the world of really just, I always had a roof over my head growing up, but I never had the extras, you know what I mean? So I'm thinking, okay, go to California, you'll meet some rich people, and then because I thought I was just that social beast back then, which I was. But I didn't realize how, the older you get, the harder it is to make new friends, right? Because people, the older you get, you see, I don't know what the hell's going on, but it's something in my eye. I don't see anything in there, but it's like really bothering me. But anyway, but the older you get, you realize that. Oh, hold on one second. Let me roll the window down for it. I had to turn my truck off because it's too loud. But the older you get, the more you start to realize that of the type of world that the world is, and you meet. There are people that you can trust, but the older you get, the more people that you meet to show you that why the world is the way it is and how the world really is. You know what I mean? So anyway, yeah, so I thought I could go to California, and I just was like, from 18, the only states I had ever been in was Oklahoma and Texas, you know what I mean? And that was just from moving from Oklahoma to Texas, you know what I mean? So I had never really been around, and I'm like, man, I'm 18 with no direction, and I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do. You know what I mean? But I knew I wanted to. I thought that, like I said, I thought I was always the most social person, and I never had any issues with meeting people and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So long story short, no, I was actually 21 when I decided to do this. Because from 18 to 21, I was a car salesman. And then I had ended up working my way to the top at the car dealership. And, I kept having deals fall through out of finance. So I was like, you know what? this is bullshit. You know, I'm going somewhere else. And so I left, you know, and the grass wasn't greener on the other side, you know what I mean? So I had to learn that lesson the hard way. After that, I went from dealership to dealership to dealership. And just kept running into, you know, the each dealership I went to, the worse it got, you know what I mean? And it was like, people were stealing your deals, changing like the names, like in the system of like your customers. So you call your customer and they be like, hey, no, I'm like, hey, what's going on? I just want to check in with you. And they're like, I already bought a car, you know what I mean? And then, so then, you know, I started going through stuff like that, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, you know what, you know, all right, whatever. So this is not what it is. Ended up wanting to go do some business with family, you know, because I never knew my family growing up. It was just, you know, my mom, we didn't know our family growing up, you know what I mean? It was just who we had, our parents and, you know, aunties, few uncles and cousins, you know, immediate family members. So I ended up going to go do business with some family and you know, and thinking we could, you know, thinking that I would be able to, you know, become a millionaire from that situation, you know, or really well off. It ended up, you know what I mean, not working out at all. And my car broke down. And then when my car broke down, I was told that if you don't have a car, you don't have a job. You know what I mean? The major part about this job is you gotta have that car. So the engine broke, it seized up on it, and then nobody answered the phone again after that. You know what I mean? So after that, I was like, you know, okay, well, shoot. So then call family members. I mean, we'll call one family member, and then I asked him if he could come pick me up. And he said, you know, I'm busy right now. You know what I mean? I can't come over there. I'm busy right now. And then basically I call other family members and they were like, you know, the best thing I could do for you is take you to a shelter. So I was like, you know what? All right, cool. So I called my boy Chris. And Chris came through for me every single time, you know what I mean? But Chris wasn't even living on his own at this point. So he was just like, you know what I mean? You could come stay with me for a little bit, but I'm not, you know, sure how long it's going to last. So then I went and stayed with him for a little bit, and you know, and his family had always taken in all the friends, you know what I mean? All the friends that just didn't have the family structure that Chris had, you know what I mean? His family would take him in, so I could understand, like, they're like, man, you know, the last one just left, and then, you know, now we understand your situation, but we want our house to ourselves, you know what I mean? So I completely understand that, you know what I mean? You couldn't do nothing but understand that and respect it. So they let me stay with him for a month or so, and then Grandpa was like, you know, hey, man, look, we want our house to ourselves, you know what I mean? We gave you a little bit of time, but you're going to have to go out there and figure it out, you know what I mean? So then I went, and that's when I became homeless for the first time. So then I'm like, you know what, I'm going to be homeless. I want to go somewhere I want to be, you know what I mean? So I did, long story short, I went to California, lived on the beach, ended up meeting this rich guy, this rich kid. He was like 30 years old. He was still living with his mom, but his mom was like a millionaire. And you know, he's like, hey man, you could, you know, come start hanging out with us, you know what I mean? So I'm like, all right, cool, you know what I mean? So I would go work at the temp service, and after the temp service, you know, I would go link up with them. We would go to the beach. He had a nice house in Irvine and all that, you know what I mean? But they were really doing some hardcore stuff, you know what I mean? So I wasn't, you know, I mean, that I didn't care what they were doing, you know what I mean? Like, that's just, you know, if you want to do drugs and things like that, then, you know, hey, your mom is giving you thousands of dollars to do this shit. Who am I to judge you? You know what I mean? So, but I wasn't, you know, that's not what I was doing. But then, long story short, so I ended up coming back to Texas after that. But, you know, so then I was, you know, after a little bit of having my own place, you know what I mean, things went bad again. You know what I mean? After I came back to Texas, I got my own place and things went bad again after that. So then, at that point, I was homeless again. You know what I mean? So now, I'm homeless. Now I got tickets because I'm getting pulled over because my inspection's out. And I'm not, you know, not really learning the lesson to go get this damn inspection sticker fixed. You know what I mean? I didn't think it was as serious as it was. So every time the cops saw me, they pulled me over, you know what I mean? Every time. So then you know, it got to the point to where it started stacking up. You know what I mean? Stacking up, stacking up. Now I got tickets, and then I'm getting surcharges and all this shit, and it keeps multiplying because I keep getting more and more tickets. They're like, hey, you know, we caught you again. You know, ticket, boom, boom, bam. Another ticket, boom, boom, bam. And then, you know, they let me go, but I'm still getting tickets after tickets after tickets, right? So at this point, I couldn't even go back to a car dealership. So I'm like, okay, well, shit. So then at this point, damn, what the hell am I fucking? So then at this point, what happened after that? All right, so yeah, then I'm at, you know, so then I start working for different temp service jobs. You know what I mean? I'm like, man, let me just get my shit together so then I can go get my CDL and I can get on the road and make some good money again. You know what I mean? So then, okay, so what happened after that? So then, okay, so now I'm working at temp service jobs, shoveling dirt, mowing grass, anything I could do. You know what I mean? And I was sleeping in North Dallas at that point. If you know Mo 3, I was sleeping in the same apartment, in the back of the same apartments that he was sleeping in. So I'm like, okay, because I need to get my stuff together, you know, pay off all these tickets so I can get my license again. You know what I mean? And so then I met this guy named Mark from Argos. He was a manager at the Argos cement plant, and Mark is who set me up for success. Really, man, he really did. So after working years trying to catch up, you know what I mean, working temp service jobs, the second year of being homeless, you know, because I kept having police knocking on my windows in the middle of the night. Most of the time they'd take me to jail because I had warrants, because I couldn't pay off all my tickets, so they were taking me to jail, and I was going from county to county to county because I had court tickets in every single county, bro. So they were taking me to jail, and they're like, all right, well, I think they might want you, so we got to give them 24 hours after I was done with that. And then at 20 hours, they would call and say, hey, you know, we want them. And they were like, oh, man, they just called and said they're coming to get you. You know what I mean? So then that kept happening, you know what I mean? And it was fucking hard, bro. It was hard, but it was like, also like, look, bro, you look, you got to get it together, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm like, all right, so yeah, my inspection sticker is out, but damn, I'm paying all my money to get this damn tickets paid off and surcharges and all that stuff, you know what I mean? So that I can get a better place, you know what I mean? Or I can get my own, I can go get my CDL, right? So this was the goal at that time, was to get my CDL. So then so then I met Mark, you know what I mean? And then Mark was at a cement plant in Frisco, Texas. And you know, and eventually after about a month or two, because it's walled off, right? So I'm telling them, you know, I mean, I don't know how I told him first, and you know, I'm just like, you know, hey, you know, yeah, I'm sleeping in my, he's like, I think he asked me one time, are you sleeping in your car? I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm just trying to, you know, get my stuff together so that I can, you know, go get my CDL and stuff like that. And then Mark is like, you know, and then Mark is like, you know, after a point, he's like, you know, hey, man, if you want, because I tell him, like, the police always knocking on my window in the middle of the night, telling me I can't sleep here, I gotta move. So really the only place I can sleep is in the hood, you know what I mean? Because it's the only place the police won't bother you, and ain't nobody else gonna bother you because they see you broke and you ain't got nothing, you know what I mean? So shoot, for real though, so it was the weirdest thing. So that's the only place I felt safe, was in one of the worst hoods in Dallas, right? So anyway, so yeah, so then I'm working at the cement plant, and what it is we were throwing ice from the back of semi-trailer. They were bringing a trailer for the ice, and we would throw the ice from the trailer into a conveyor belt, which dumped it into the cement, or the cement trucks, so that it would cool the cement down, right? So so we're doing that, you know what I mean? And then That was, I think I went one whole summer because it was only a summer job. So, and it was through a temp service. So, it was a summer, and then, you know, that was the easiest job ever. Like, Mark definitely would just be like, he understood my situation, and he has sympathy for my situation. You know what I mean? So, that was the easiest job, man. He made me like the lead guy there, so I felt pretty cool. I had a little walkie-talkie and stuff. I'm like, yeah, you know. It felt good. It was a tough situation, but you know, you adjust. You know what I mean? It's not as bad as you would think it is because you really adjust to just life. You know what I mean? So I got comfortable with that life. You know what I mean? I would still have girls that I was hanging out with. They didn't know my situation. I would go see them. We would hang out, kick it. I would have my friends. I would see them here and there. You know what I mean? But Jamie was in college at that time, and Chris was, I don't know what the hell Chris was doing at that time. I forgot. But anyway, yeah, I would see them here and there, and Chris will always, if we went out anywhere, I never paid for anything, you know what I mean? Chris will always pay for everything, so that's why I don't hesitate to do it for him now, you know what I mean? But anyway, yeah, so Mark, at the second summer, you know, I want to say it was the second summer when I first started staying there. I'm like calling him, you know what I mean? I called him and I'm like, hey, Mark, I just want to see, you know, if we're going to start back the ice job this summer. And he's like, yeah, you know, we're supposed to be starting in a few weeks. And then when I got there, you know, he found that I was homeless and stuff like that. And then he's like, oh, you know what I mean? He's like, if you want to, you can sleep in the garage. You know what I mean? We have a garage. You can just pull in there after work, sleep there, and, you know what I mean, wake up and go to work. You know what I mean? So I would sleep in the cement plant. I would sleep in the garage. And, you know, sometimes in the back of the trailer at night because it was ice, and, you know, it was cool because they kept it ice. So if it was hot during the summer, I'd sleep in the back of the trailer, you know what I mean? Or sleep in the back, sleep in my car in the garage, you know what I mean? So then there wasn't no one knocking on my windows. And, you know, it was a big wall, so it was like nobody knew where I was at, you know what I mean? So it was like also a safer environment, you know what I mean? So after that point, you know, I got to the point so where I worked off and paid off all my tickets. And then I just so happened to look online and I see a ad for oil field work, and I always have people telling me, man, I'm gonna get you an oil field, and then like I call him and I'm like, hey, can you get me in? He's like, nah, man, they're not hiring right now. So then I was like, man, shoot. And then I actually, like, my phone's about to die. So I actually so then long story short, so then I looked on Google one time, just looking on ads, because this ice job, like, it got to the point where it was so easy. I was probably only working for an hour a day, getting paid $10 an hour, but I was getting paid every hour, you know what I mean? So I was making about $600 a week, $300 to $600 a week. And so then I looked on an ad and I saw, from Gainesville, Texas, they had an oil field job, and basically you would go meet in a van, and they were taking people with no experience. So you go meet in Gainesville, and then you would drive to West Texas, and you would be out there for 2 weeks, come home for a week, leave for 2 weeks, come home for a week. So I'm like, damn, that's a bet, because I'm homeless too, so I could just go out there and stay, you know what I mean? So then I went. So then I put in the application. I put, you know, Argos on there, and I went up to Mark, talking to him one time. He like, yeah, this oil field company just called me, and I was like, for real? I was like, what'd you tell him? He was like, you know, he was like, don't worry about it, you good. I was like, okay, cool. I like, appreciate it, you know what I mean? So Marcus is cool in the fan, man. So then, right when I remember I went to the gym. And then I got the call from the lady. She's like, yeah, so we're going to send you for a drug test, and then we're going to bring you in, and when can you start? I'm like, I can start right now, sure. So then I got that call. As soon as I hung up with her, I got back and I went back to the cement plant because I was at the gym. And then I went back to the cement plant. I told Mark, I'm like, Mark, they just called me. Like, I got the job in West Texas. He's like, yeah. He's like, oh, man. He's like, that's awesome. That's cool. He's like, because they actually just called me just now and told me that they were canceling the ice. No more ice. So I was like, dang, that worked out perfectly. So then that very next Monday, I went and orientation and all that good stuff. Got the job, left, went to West Texas. And once I got to West Texas, you stay in the man camps. And then about a week and a half, I was like, I was asking the crew leads and stuff like, you think he'll let me stay? They're like, I don't know, man. It depends on how you work, So then after that, I went to talk to him. Hey, Corey, can I stay? Because, I'm homeless, so I don't really, And he's like, well, let me talk to the crew leads, and then I'll get back to you. Then, like, right before we were supposed to come back to Dallas, he's like, hey, James, he's like, so how long you plan on staying? I'm like, man, shit, as long as I can. he was like, all right, well, you can stay, man. So I was like, all right, cool, So I stayed for like 3 months there, and then, And after that, worked out there and stacked my money up, got all my stuff paid off, and then next thing you know, I got my CDL, and I've been on the road ever since, man. So, yep. So, if you're homeless, man, I definitely been through it before. The worst, But like I say, it don't really feel like the worst when you're going through it because you adjust, But it does suck. I know what it feels like to sit in parking lots for days at a time because you can't find work. And it's hot outside with $10 in your pocket. So you go to Dollar Tree, get some bologna, get some bread, some mustard, and just sit there. Because you can't do nothing else you can do, you know what I'm saying? So, I never look down on people who are homeless. But if you're homeless, man, you can make it out, bro. I did it, and I'm a freaking witness, man. All right, man, y'all take it out. Take it easy, man. That's my story. We keep grinding, man. We working our way to the top, though, for sure.